Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 34 of Show Me How It's Done. I missed all of you last week, but I hope you're having a wonderful summer. I took the week off just to spend some time with my family, and we headed to BC, where it was even hotter than here in Edmonton. So maybe that was a mistake, but that's okay. We enjoyed some lakes and some swim time, and it was just a really nice break, I guess, from the regular schedules that we all have sometimes. So I know you missed me, but I'm back. So this week, what I want to show you is some really fun projects using a masking technique. So some of you may have seen masks like this in our Stamping Up catalog. So these ones here, this is the Plenty of Patterns Decorative Mask set. There's also a set with some trees and different patterns in it too. But this is our newest one, and I've been seeing a lot of cards on Pinterest using this like fish scale look as well as the geometrics. So I thought today I would show you some projects using the flowers. So I have 4 cards for you, and they're going to build on each other as we go. So this one here is one that I thought would be brilliant if you needed to make a set of mass-produced cards. You have a lot of people for maybe a shower or a party or something that you just need to say thank you to. So this is the card that we're going to make for them. And then from there, I'm going to show you some other techniques too. So the 2 colors that I wanted to play with today are Highland Heather and Balmy Blue. So if you want to get those 2 inks, that's what we're going to be using, as well as our little blending brushes here, okay? So these blending brushes are perfect for use for all sorts of colors. You just rinse them off with water and they're good to go. And then you can use them in similar shades multiple times. They're not just a one-time use product. So they come in a set of 3 for $16, and I grabbed 2 sets, and that's more than enough for my rotations. So card number 1 here, let's get you some measurements. So I've made this card here in Highland Heather. I want to show you its equivalent in the Balmy Blue, because you'll see the series of cards, it uses both colors. So I really want to make sure that I'm highlighting both of those colors in my set for you. So I'm just going to set that to the side here, and let's cut our pieces at the start here, okay? So my card base is Balmy Blue, and I have cut that at 5.5 by 7.5, putting a score mark in the middle here at 3 3/4. So this guy, we always want to make sure it's nice and burnished with our bone folder, like so. Now I need 2 pieces of basic white cardstock. One is going to be for the outside of the card, and one is just for you to write on the inside here. So they're actually the same measurement. They are 3.5 by 5 1/4. And like I said, you'll need 2. So we're just going to stick one of them right on the inside of the card so it's out of our way. And then the last piece that you're going to cut is this little strip right here. And you'll see why it kind of breaks up some of the ink a bit for you, because the mask can create a little line across your project. And no matter how careful you are, sometimes it still happens. So this little guy is 1/4 of an inch thick by 5 1/4 inch long. Okay, so I'm just sticking this on the inside of my card so it's out of my way. And I'm also going to just tuck this strip inside and move both of those out of my way as well. Okay, so for my decorating here, I now am going to take my mask and one of those white pieces of paper, and I'm just going to rest it so that I have some of those flowers over top of this white area. Okay, so opening up my little ink, I like to just go in a circular motion with my blending brush so that I'm picking up lots of color on those little bristles. You don't want to press really hard, just nice and gentle so you're picking up an even amount of color all over. Now, just hold your finger down on one side And it's kind of nice to start off your page just in case you did have a big clump of ink on somewhere. You're just going to go in a really circular motion all over those flowers. Keep going, keep going. So you guys can barely see my blue. It's a little subtle, but you'll be able to see it as soon as I move the mask. So now I like to pick up a little bit more color halfway through. So we're just going to do this, rub, rub, rub. And switching sides, I'm now going to rub on this side. So I have, I think, probably used up a lot of ink from my pad, which is another reason that it's not as vibrant as yours might be. But there we go. So when I move my mask, you can see I've got kind of this weird shade line, and that's simply from where my bristles overlapped the top of the mask. So that's why we have that little strip, and it's going to make everything all better. So let's stick this onto our card. I'm just using some sort of flat adhesive, so if you have tape or seal, that would work perfectly. And we're just adding a little dimension with some embellishments later on the project. Go. So hello to those of you who are watching. Thank you so much for tuning in live. It's exciting when I see some comments in there. Okay, so this goes just on the front of my card. And now is also a great time to put this little strip on. So this one, you may need to use a glue if you don't have a tape that is skinny enough, but I can also just easily run my skinny little double-sided tape down that, and it will attach perfectly for me. Okay, so I'm just going to rest this kind of along the top of where the flowers are sitting, and it will go over that little ink, the extra ink that you had. Okay, so get it as straight as you can. There we go. Now for our stamp, I have been playing around with the artistically inked stamp because I don't know about you guys, but I have been waiting months for the paper for this stamp to come back in stock. So it is on its way, and so I have been ready to go with this stamp. I've brought it out, I've got my dies all mounted on my case, and I'm ready to start playing as soon as that paper is in my hands. So I chose the thanks sentiment from this set. Of course, there is a beautiful, nice, long happy birthday, which would also coordinate quite nicely with this. But we're just going to grab a little bit of Memento Black ink, tap, 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 to ink him up. And I'm just resting this right on the top of that little paper line. Okay, so there's my sentiment. Now I thought, hey, we should dress this up just a tiny little bit. And I've been playing lots with these matte black dots. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm just going to add 3 of them to my project. But of course, you can certainly go crazy if that's what you wish. So there we go. We've got a nice little card now in both the Balmy Blue and the Highland Heather. And it's an easy card for you to replicate in any sort of color scheme that you want. So I just love how simple those masks are to use. Now I was thinking, hey, what if I have 2 colors that I love and I want to mix them a little bit? So here's my next card, where now I don't have any white space in the background. I'm simply making a background out of 2 colors put together. So this is going to be my next card. Once again, I'm going to demo it using supplies from the Balmy Blue scheme. And then we're going to compare it to what we already have here with the Highland Heather. So measurements are the same actually for this card. And I have made my base once again, 5.5 by 7.5, scoring down the middle at 3 3/4. I have 2 pieces of basic white. One is 3.5 by 5.25. Actually, both of them are. So one for the inside, one for the outside. Same idea as last time, that we're just going to get this card base out of our way. So nicely fold it up and putting your writing piece on the inside of the card. If you're mass producing these, I would highly suggest doing your card bases and the insides before you start playing with the ink, because you will get a little inky here, especially if you're using a darker, more like less forgiving ink, such as red or even Blackberry Bliss or something like that. So just keep in mind, you don't want to get your nice pristine white card all dirty. So we're going to put this aside, and I have a little trick for you guys now. Sometimes we don't want to sit here holding this mask. So if you own this tool, it's called our Stamparatus. We're not going to use any of the plates for it, but we're actually just going to make use of the magnet. And so I'm going to stick my paper in the middle here. And I'm going to stick my little flowers right over top. And now my magnet piece, I'm just going to stick in some of this space here so that it's on top of the mask as well as the white paper underneath, and that I have some room up near the top to work. So I'll have to move this magnet as I'm working, but that's okay. It's going to mean that I don't have to have a hand on this as much, and it just may be a little nicer for you guys. Okay, so let's grab some of our balmy blue once again. And I did my purples on the top and bottom on the card on the right. So I'm going to do my blues on the top and the card, a bottom card on the left here. Okay, so once again, just all the way across now. We don't need to worry about a weird top line because we're using the middle of the mask for our technique. So all over the place. I usually did about 3 to 4 rows of flowers if you're trying to gauge how many I'm doing right now. So 3 to 4 rows, because I do want some area where the colors are going to overlap each other. So as I mentioned, just move your magnet up when you're ready to do the bottom of the card here. And I'm doing about the top 2 to 3 rows, or bottom 2 to 3 rows of flowers here. My ink pad is desperately going to need a re-inking after this. There we go. Perfect. So I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to grab my Highland Heather and I'm going to fill in that middle space. Okay, so rubbing in a circle here, moved my magnet just slightly up, and I'm just going to now do this middle space, getting anything that's white, and also going over about the equivalent of a row of flowers. So I get some really neat variations in colors. I've got some purple, some blue, and some mixed in between there. Okay, so now as soon as I lift this up, I should be able to see a nice background. There we go. Super duper. Okay, so this one, once again, I'm just using some tape to attach it to the front of my card. So turn this over. And I'm going to put it on the front here now. Usually I like to stamp things before I add them to the card, but in this instance, if I was to make a mistake, I would have had to do the masking all over again anyways, so it's not as big of a deal to me to wait. So now I am going to grab that same stamp in black, and I thought it would make a beautiful focal point just down in the bottom right corner. Then you can see all the masking work that you have done. Okay, and once again, we're doing the exact same idea with those black matted gems, just adding them as a little bit of embellishment. There we go. So here is card number 2. So beautiful. Either way you do it, you can do it with 2 completely different contrasting colors as well. But it's really nice when they can blend into each other and give you some different tones as well. So I was having so much fun with that technique that I thought, okay, how can I step this up even a little bit further? So that would be adding a frame to my background to make that paper really pop out at you, and also to pop my sentiment now up on a little tag. So I am once again going to have the same measurement for my card base. So this one is 5.5 by 7.5, scoring down the middle at 3 3/4. But I will have a little bit of difference now in the other pieces that I need. So for this project, you're going to need 1 piece of black, basic black. That's going to be our mask here in the back. This one you are free to just pop up on dimensionals right now and put it on the front of the card. I have cut this guy at 3.5 by 5 1/4. So if you remember, that's actually the measurement that we used to cut our white pieces at. So now this is the frame that we're using. And because I wanted something still to write on the inside, I have cut still 1 piece of white at that same measurement. So 3.5 by 5 1/4. Okay, and this one is getting put on with tape to the front, or to the inside of my project. So do keep in mind, I will have this video on replay for you to watch, because I know I have all the pieces cut and ready to go, so I'm a little quicker here. Now for the front of my card, this white is going to be cut smaller. So this one needs to be 3 1/4 by 5. Okay, and that is the one that we're going to do our masking work on. But while you're doing cutting, you can also cut yourself out this little frame. And I got this from the Ornate Frames die set. So this guy here. And it does coordinate with multiple stamp sets. So I have it in with the Halloween set it was originally released with. However, excuse me, that is not available anymore, but there's lots of sets that it does coordinate with. So it's just this little die right there, the Ornate Frames. And it's a beautiful set if you're looking for something that's pretty versatile, can dress up a card, or also is pretty simplistic too. Okay, so let's do a little bit of work with this guy. Now, I did make this one a little different in the fact that I thought, okay, so I can make this straight, and that's great, but what happens if we get a little risky and we just twist our project a bit? Sorry, I guess I need my Stamparatus here. So I put my paper down straight on here, and now I'm going to put my mask over top at an angle so that when I emboss, my flowers are going to be at a slight diagonal there. So once again, however you decide you want to do this is completely up to you. I'm just going to start with my Highland Heather up in the top corner here, okay? So just adding a bit of color up here. And then this one I am just going to add now a strip kind of in the middle space. Right here, so some really dark, some nice and light, so that when I come through now with my blue, it will fill in any blanks that I have left. We'll start with the bottom here. I did leave a little corner for me to work with. And then there is one large strip in there then that I would like to go over. There we go. Okay, so when I take this one off, it should be a beautiful diagonal pattern for me to work with. There we go. So this one can get put straight onto that black frame that you have already nicely laid out. I put that one flat because we've got dimension already with the black, and we're going to add that tag up on dimensionals as well. There we go. So for my tag, I'm going to take my sentiment here and stamp right in the middle of it. You can either go straight down, or if you're worried about it fitting, you can tilt it just slightly at an angle. And it should fit just perfectly onto that tag for you. This one I'm going to pop up on a couple dimensionals and put onto that bottom right-hand corner just so it mimics the card that I did before it. Because I'm trying to show a nice progression of different cards. All right, bring back your black matted dots. This is where we are switching. I'm putting the 2 on the right-hand side now. Just the one up on this tag here. Looks kind of nice. So there's our little set. So far, let's just see what we have. So we've got, whoops, there we go. We've got a nice set that's at an angle with our frames. We've got a set that is using multiple colors. And we've got our great starter set that is showing us that gorgeous flower pattern on the bottom of our card. So I felt like this was great, but I wanted one more. So keeping the progression going, I have kept the black frame, the angled stamping, but I have now added this gorgeously stunning die from that artistically inked bundle. I told you guys, I am so ready to play with that bundle. It's not even funny. So what I've done is I've made now a full-size card because this decal kind of wouldn't fit on these smaller note cards that I've been making. So let me give you all the measurements and directions for this last card here. And this one is the Pierre Restance or whatever. I'm not French, I can't pronounce that. So card base is a standard card base now. So we've got 5.5 by 8.5, scoring down the middle at 4 1/4. For the black and white of your card, you will need 2 black pieces that measure 4 inches by 5 1/4, and 2 white pieces that measure 3 3/4 by 5. So for the inside of our card, let's just get that out of the way. I did dress it up a little bit more, and I gave us both a black frame and the white for the writing in there. Just because this one seemed a little bit fancier, so we're going to give a little bit more paper with it. So I have put this on here, and I'm going to put a white right on top of that. And that will give you something beautiful to write on. This one you could turn into a wedding card or something too. Now for the front, we've got our black shadow piece. So I'm once again going to pop that one up with dimensionals, so it stays in the back. And then my white piece, I'm going to do the masking exactly the same as card number 3. So 2 colors, and I've tilted it at an angle. But you guys have already seen me do it, so I went ahead and have this piece prepped now. So you can see my multiple colors in there. I've turned it. It's the exact same technique as we did on card number 3, just on a slightly bigger piece of white. Okay, so this one I'm going to attach to the front of my card. And now, once this is on, the next job is to cut out that gorgeously intricate die. If you're looking at the artistically inked set, it's this one right here up in the top corner. It's all one piece. You can go through it in one pass, and you just come out with this stunningly detailed floral bouquet. Now it's a little challenging to put something like this on if you want to pop it off of the page, because some of these detailed points are very tiny. So this is where I'm just going to bring in my black dimensionals, because it won't be as stark of a contrast if I'm just putting these in a couple different places along my project. So again, you probably may see them, and that's okay. We're just going to try our very best to kind of hide them in and amongst the black paper that the die is cut from. Okay, so you can see a little bit, and that's fine. Now I'm going to just put this, oops, a couple pieces didn't come out from the die. There we go. Just going to put this towards the left-hand side of my page here, so that now I have room, after I've stamped that sentiment, to once again pop this up. So I use the exact same die that we did in card number 3, the ornate frames, and I'm stamping that thanks on it. Now when you're attaching this tag to your card, be mindful that you've already popped up this little flower here, so you don't really want a dimensional under the T and H on your work. You really only want them near the back of this tag. So when you turn this over, just remember, okay, T and H is up here. So I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of my tag and just one little piece of double-sided tape on the front. This will help it stick to the flower and not be popping up and looking a little awkward, but it's also not going to have my tag now at a slant. These should all be at the same level now. And then just to tie everything together, make this a very cohesive set, we'll add that last set of dots to your set. So there we go. I hope you guys have thoroughly enjoyed the projects today. I really have a lot of fun when I make an effort to do a progressive set of cards, because I can always think of different occasions where, you know, this one's fancy, it takes a little bit more work. So this would be for a special friend's birthday, or a thank you card, or a wedding card. And then I've got, you know, ones that are just slightly less detailed because I haven't cut out that decal. And this could be a simple thank you card for somebody, or just, you know, a little birthday card as well. And then I'm getting into these mass produce options where maybe I need a card for 20, 30 people. So I don't necessarily have time to do every single step for everybody, but it's a really nice way for you to just show a nice set of products, a nice thought, and I think people are just really thankful to see some creativity in their mailbox instead of bills. So once again, thank you guys so much for joining me. Those of you who are coming to my monthly card club tonight, I will see you at 7 o'clock online. If you don't have a kit but you want to tune in, please feel free. And I do have a couple extras if you like the projects and you're like, oh, I need extras or I would like a kit. So contact me and we'll get you set up. But thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next week for our 35th episode of Show Me How It's Done. Okay, guys, bye.